kind of our self-service portal. Let's take a dive and really explain what is App Controller. I've heard of it previously referred to as Concero as its code name, but tell us, what does this really do?
Yeah, so you should think about App Controller. Just a moment while we've got a couple of additional segments to go. That's fine. I think we can actually take the components first and then sort of wrap with this section if you're good with that. So let's give a brief overview of what the components are like, right? So App Controller, basically, you should think about App Controller as being our self-service experience for the application owner, right? So it's a web-based portal with sort of role-based access for the application owner. It actually brings together in one single pane of glass, right, all the applications, be they in private clouds or be they in Windows Azure. But what's interesting for you as the IT pro is that you delegate control to the application owner for what they can see, right? You as an IT pro have access to all of the applications and all of the VMs as well that are running in your data centers, right? So I think that's a pretty important statement for you because we've seen a lot of cases where you believe that your application owners are sort of working around you, right? I mean, there's just this popular perception that, gosh, IT is not fast enough to meet my needs, and I'm going to go directly to the public cloud and provision stuff. So this is a great way, or App Controller is a great way to bring all of those delegated resources in one single view, which you as an IT pro can sort of delegate to your application owner, right? They get the level of empowerment and agility they need because they can go there and actually deploy, configure their apps on their own. You don't need to get in their way at that point. But you still have a broad oversight and control into everything that's happening in the environment. So we think this is a very exciting sort of component that we are building into System Center as net new.
Now, what happened to the Virtual Machine Manager Self-Service Portal 2.0? Where is that in this release?
Good question. So we've been getting a bunch of such similar questions, and our approach to self-service is basically take all those capabilities and build them into System Center 2012. So what that really means in practical terms is we've built all the capabilities which were in the VMM SSP 2.0 into Service Manager, right? So you will see that Service Manager is the place where you should go to and request private cloud capacity. So that is what will help you create a sandbox for your application owners. So once the capacity is requested and granted, so application owners can then go to App Controller and then they'll see some of their the application services they have access to showing up in App Controller, and they can go and sort of drain that capacity which was allocated to the portal. But that's a very good question. So you should look at App Controller as being the primary self-service experience to consume that capacity, and then Service Manager as a self-service experience to request capacity. So we've sort of streamlined how we look at self-service based on your feedback, based on our customers' feedback. So that's about App Controller. Next, I'll just quickly talk about Virtual Machine Manager. So basically, Virtual Machine Manager, if you go back to the previous version, it was essentially a virtualization management solution, but now we think of it as being our private cloud infrastructure solution. So what you can do is you can actually create a pool or a standardized fabric or a private cloud infrastructure based on which sort of clusters together all the existing investments you might have, be it Hyper-V, VMware, or Citrix, right? So again, that's a pretty critical piece of functionality that Virtual Machine Manager offers. Virtual Machine Manager also allows you to keep your private cloud infrastructure healthy and well utilized. So we built some cool capabilities called dynamic optimization and power optimization. So what it does basically is it allows you as an IT pro to set policy and say, here are some of the thresholds for memory, disk, IOPS, and storage that I want to monitor. And if I go above or below in terms of utilization, then I can do a bunch of live migrations, make sure that my load is balanced across a cluster, right? And once the cluster is balanced, I can even look at time of day or whatever my business patterns are and shut down a bunch of servers without the risk of services going down through power optimization. So again, a bunch of great technology to make sure that we are optimizing and keeping your private cloud infrastructure healthy.
And this was similar to the feature which existed in the current System Center technologies called PRO, Performance and Resource Optimization. but that required you to have Operations Manager as well as Virtual Machine Manager running, install the integration components, have them talk to each other. So we've really simplified this load balancing concept in System Center 2012. It's entirely managed in VMM, and beyond just this load balancing, we also have the power optimization to go and shut down these unused cores, shut down these unused hosts, so even advanced capabilities, and simplifying it using a single product.
Fantastic, yep. And what that does basically for you as an IT pro is, again, go back to the economics benefit that we were speaking earlier, right? So you can sort of carry forward what you have at one level and also drive up ROI by increasing utilization of your resources, right? Another cool thing that we've done with with Virtual Machine Manager, is this concept of service templates. So what the concept of service templates is closely linked to the all about the app, or the focus on the app that we were having earlier, that I mentioned earlier, right? So what it does is it allows you to actually work hand in hand with your application development counterpart and define a set of standardized application blueprints, right? Which might include the hardware profile, the operating system profile, the application profile, right? Front end, middle tier, back end, and so on and so forth. And have some sort of an agreement that, hey, this is how we will actually create and build applications, right? So that once your application owners and you agree on what's the standard application, they can actually go to App Controller and do the actual deployment configuration, because you've actually done your job as a data center administrator in making sure that the infrastructure elements, which is the operating system profiles, hardware profiles, are consistent with some of those blueprints that you've defined. So again, it's a great way for you to actually streamline how application deployment happens, right? Today we've heard so many complaints from application owners as well as you, where you say, gosh, every deployment is a one-off, right? So we're trying to sort of simplify some of those challenges by bringing, again, the IT pro and the developer together, right? And service templates is a great way to do that as well.
And not only will we talk about this in more depth later, we're even going to demo this. So
Absolutely.
We'll go into depth and we'll show you not only what it does, but how you can do it as well.
Absolutely. The good news is also that Virtual Machine Manager is an in-place upgrade. So you go from 2008 R2 SP1 to 2012 directly. The next is Operations Manager. Again, this is something with a lot of you folks are familiar with, I'm sure, right? It's been around for a long time. So what we've done with Operations Manager 2012 is we've natively integrated application performance management into Operations Manager, right? So I spoke about Avi Code and so on and so forth. So we've sort of integrated the Avi Code technology into Operations Manager. So again, you can actually use Operations Manager as that single monitoring solution which spans down from the infrastructure right up to the application, right? So again, we've kind of simplified how you manage and monitor stuff, right? We've also built a management pack called the Windows Azure Application Monitoring Management Pack. You can actually go to Pinpoint, which is our portal where we store all our management packs and download it. But what it does basically is it extends your existing on-premises Operations Manager installation and extends that to monitoring Windows Azure applications. So again, we want to kind of make sure that you carry forward what you have, but you are able to have that single view to monitor private cloud applications or virtual applications as well as applications which you deploy in Windows Azure. Again, very, very cool. Another cool thing which we've done to make your lives easier and reduce the number of consoles you have to look at is we've built in network monitoring into Operations Manager. So it basically allows you to discover all the linkages between your network devices and how your application services are linked to them. So, and then you can sort of drill down into each of the network devices and look at their utilization, look at their health, and drive a bunch of reports around how those network devices are performing. You might have to kind of look at other network consoles for deep things like traffic pattern analysis and so on and so forth. But we thought, let's simplify some of the basic things that you need from network monitoring and get that into Operations Manager. And finally, we've actually made it very easy to create custom application dashboards for you. So you can sort of easily create a custom report, you can publish it, you can share it very easily through SharePoint. So, no one that you share your reports with needs access to Operations Manager. So again, very cool, customizable dashboards that again, you'll see demos of. So the key thing around Operations Manager I want to leave you with is this is again another way that we are bringing you closer to the application owner, right? In the past, whenever something would break, you would spend a lot of cycles, frankly, in talking to your application development counterparts and talking about, hey, was that an issue with the infrastructure, or was that an issue with the application, and so on and so forth, right? So much time gets spent on that you would be better off actually figuring what was wrong rather than, the back and forth and finger pointing that we see, right? So through some of the deep application insight with application performance management, we are decreasing the time to resolution on those issues, right? You can quickly go down to the line of code and see what's wrong and quickly alert your application developer and say, hey, it seems to be a SQL query and not a network or a server issue that you were talking about, right? Think about how easy it makes your life and some of the conversations that you have with your development counterparts. And again, this is an in-place upgrade from Operations Manager